He was supposed to be the savior, a cannon-armed quarterback from the Deep South, the first overall pick, the future of the franchise. But when Terry Bradshaw stepped onto an NFL field in 1970, it wasn't cheers that greeted him, it was doubt. The Pittsburgh Steelers didn't draft quarterbacks first overall. They weren't the type of team young stars dreamed of joining. They were perennial underachievers, 37 seasons in the league, and not a single championship to their name. So when they took Bradshaw with the top pick, the city's hopes landed squarely on his broad shoulders. But in the early days, it felt like the wrong gamble. Mistakes piled up. Fans jeered. The media mocked his intelligence, painting him as a country bumpkin out of his depth. What they didn't know was that Terry Bradshaw was about to lead one of the greatest dynasties the sport had ever seen. You're watching Black and Gold Legacy, where we keep the greatest Steelers stories alive. If you love Pittsburgh football history, hit that like button, subscribe, and join us as we dive into the untold story of Terry Bradshaw, the man who turned boos into 4 Super Bowl rings. From small town to big dreams. Shreveport, Louisiana, a place where summer heat sticks to your skin and football is as much a religion as Sunday church. Bradshaw was a quiet, focused kid who learned the value of work early. His father, Bill, instilled discipline. His mother, Novus, made sure her boys understood humility. Even as a boy, Terry's arm was a local phenomenon. He could sling a football over 70 yards before most kids his age could throw half that. Coaches built entire offenses around his deep ball. But it wasn't just raw power, it was obsession. Terry spent hours throwing into swinging tires, practicing footwork in the yard until the grass was worn bare. By high school, he was a star, but not the polished kind. He was a gunslinger, big throws, big risks, and sometimes big mistakes. When it came time for college, powerhouse programs overlooked him. Louisiana Tech University took the chance. It wasn't glamorous, no national TV, no Heisman buzz, but it was home. At Tech, Bradshaw lit up scoreboards. In 1969, he led the nation in total passing yards. Scouts couldn't ignore him anymore. Still, whispers persisted. Small school, undisciplined, too raw. But one NFL team saw more than just a big arm. Draft day pressure. In 1970, the Pittsburgh Steelers had the first overall pick. Chuck Noll, entering his second year as head coach, needed a quarterback who could throw in the icy winds of Pittsburgh winters. Bradshaw was the choice. On draft day, cameras caught him smiling, shaking hands. The media sold him as the franchise savior. But the NFL would humble him quickly. His rookie season was brutal. 6 touchdowns, 24 interceptions. Defenses disguised coverages he'd never seen. Pass rushers collapsed the pocket faster than he could set his feet. Every Sunday felt like survival. The Pittsburgh press tore into him. Fans booed him in his own stadium. Even Noll wasn't sure he had his guy. By 1972, Bradshaw had been benched in favor of backup Terry Hanratty. The bust label seemed permanent. Bradshaw later admitted, "I was lonely. You can take away my arm. You can take away wins. But when people question your smarts, that hurts. The pieces fall into place." While Bradshaw struggled, the Steelers' roster transformed. The Steel Curtain defense, Joe Green, L.C. Greenwood, Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, became the league's most feared unit. Franco Harris brought balance to the offense. Lynn Swann and John Stallworth added elegance and precision to the passing game. Then came the play that changed everything. The Immaculate Reception in 1972. Franco Harris's miracle grab didn't just win a playoff game. It proved Pittsburgh could be a championship team. For Bradshaw, it was time to catch up to the rest of the roster. By 1974, he was reading defenses better, making smarter throws, and leading with confidence. That year, Pittsburgh reached Super Bowl IX. Super Bowl IX, the first taste of glory. January 12, 1975. Tulane Stadium, New Orleans. The air was cold, the field muddy, and the Vikings' defense was unforgiving. Bradshaw didn't dominate statistically, 9 completions for 96 yards, but he managed the game with poise. In the fourth quarter, with the Steelers leading 9-6, Bradshaw called a play-action pass. He rolled right, found tight end Larry Brown, and hit him in stride for the game-clinching touchdown. Final score, Steelers 16, Vikings 6. The franchise's first Lombardi trophy. The man they called a bust was now a Super Bowl champion. Super Bowl 10, the bomb to Swan. A year later, the Steelers were back, this time against the Dallas Cowboys in Miami. It was a defensive slugfest until the fourth quarter, when Bradshaw called 60 prevent slot hook and go. Swan sold the hook, then exploded upfield. Bradshaw unleashed a perfect 64-yard spiral, dropping it into Swan's hands for the decisive score. Pittsburgh won 21-17. Bradshaw had 2 rings. The bust label was dead. Super Bowl 13, the MVP performance. By 1978, Bradshaw was in his prime. Against the Cowboys in Super Bowl 13, he threw for 318 yards and 4 touchdowns. His 75-yard strike to Swan in the second quarter electrified the crowd. Dallas fought back, but Bradshaw's precision in the red zone sealed a 35-31 victory. He was named Super Bowl MVP. Super Bowl 14, the comeback against the Rams. In 1979, the Steelers faced the Los Angeles Rams in Pasadena. For 3 quarters, the Rams led. The upset loomed. Early in the fourth, Bradshaw dropped back from his own 27-yard line. He saw Stallworth streaking downfield. With a defender in his face, Bradshaw launched a rainbow. 73 yards, touchdown. Pittsburgh never trailed again. Bradshaw's 309 passing yards earned him a second consecutive Super Bowl MVP. 4 rings in 6 years. No quarterback had done it before. Few have done it since. The hidden battles. On the field, Bradshaw was fearless. Off it, he was human. He battled depression and anxiety, worsened by the constant criticism early in his career. In an era when mental health was never discussed, Bradshaw kept most of it private. Physically, his body was breaking down. Concussions, rib injuries, and chronic shoulder damage were the cost of doing business in the NFL. By the early 80s, his deep passes had lost their zip. The final snap. December 10th, 1983. Bradshaw returned from elbow surgery for one last game. He threw 2 touchdowns in the first half, but on the second, he felt a pop in his arm. He walked off the field knowing it was over. In 1984, after 14 seasons with Pittsburgh, Bradshaw retired. No farewell tour, no final home game, just a quiet exit from the team he had given everything to. The legacy of number 12. In 1989, Terry Bradshaw entered the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His numbers, 27,989 passing yards, 212 touchdowns, 4 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs, tell only part of a story. The real story is the journey. From small-town Louisiana to the NFL's biggest stage. From being called dumb to outsmarting the best defenses in football. From being booed by his own fans to having his name chanted in championship parades. Today, Bradshaw is beloved not only as a Steelers icon, but as a TV personality whose humor and warmth have kept him in America's living rooms for decades. They called him a bust. They said he wasn't smart enough. But Terry Bradshaw didn't just play the game. He redefined it. 4 rings, 2 MVPs, and a legacy that will forever shine in black and gold. This has been Black and Gold Legacy, where Steelers history lives on. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments. What's your favorite Terry Bradshaw moment? Let's keep the legend alive, together.